Okay, my lovelies, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope you are doing amazingly well today. Welcome one and all. Yes, it's been a while. Actually, pretty much a year to date since I have seen or been with you guys, so it's amazing to be back. Today we are doing a pick a card. We're going to start off strong. What messages of support do you need to hear right now? Firstly, though, I definitely want to say a big shout out and a big thank you to everybody who left amazing messages over the last year through the Unicorn Light podcast and also through my older readings. Thank you so much. I did read them, maybe not initially because I was very busy in the last year, but I did read them and I did get back to people eventually as much as I could, but I do truly appreciate them. And I still really appreciate that the older messages will still resonating with you guys, but I am excited to be back. And I had a very, very full year catching up on a lot of writing assignments, working one-on-one with clients, and also working on a new podcast, which is now ready to share. I am so excited to unmask Unmasking Darkness. Now, if you are a fan of the paranormal, then this is absolutely the podcast for you. I have handpicked very, very exciting cases, and we are illuminating the darkness one case at a time, really pulling down and tearing apart these cases and really getting into what happened, bringing in my experience of being what I would consider a seer for the last 20 minutes. Also really breaking these cases down in a very educational way to say if anything ever happened to you like this, or you know anybody that's ever had anything like this happen to them, you might have an idea now of how to approach it. But it doesn't matter. It won't happen. If it did, you could deal with it in a very specific way. You would have a little bit more education about it. So illuminating the darkness in that way, it's really, really fun. Also, there's a ton of Patreon too, where we break down the cases even further and give updates on the cases. For some of the cases, there's behind the scenes stuff. There's extra cases that you will never find in the regular podcast. There's also a lot of haunting stuff in there, personal hauntings that have happened to me and people that I know. Lots of things like that in the Patreon section. So I definitely urge you to go check it out. It is really fun, and I have been absolutely building up the Patreon section, and I will continue to do so. So the first 3 episodes are available there on Unmasking Darkness, completely free. Go get them. Go check them out and let me know what you think. I'm very, very excited. So the links are down below and both available on iTunes and Spotify and coming soon to a bunch of other places too. So now that we've done that, let's get back to our pick a card. What messages of support do you need to hear right now? For our pile 1, we have this beautiful... I just had a brain fart there for a second. Tiger's eye. I was thinking about Unmasking Darkness. All right, focus. So we have our Tiger's eye for pile 1. So if you're feeling a pull in that direction, go, go, go. And if you're feeling a pull to the rose quartz for pile 2, then this is your pile. And if you're feeling the clear quartz, the healing energy of the clear quartz today, say that 3 times quickly, on pile 3, then that is your legacy. Do feel free to pick any pile that you want. Take as much time as you need to choose a pile. If one doesn't resonate, pick another one. If one doesn't resonate again, maybe the messages are not for you today. But do check back. Messages will be coming in and out all the time. This is all about your energy aligning with the reading. So take some deep breaths, whatever you need to do to get back into your soul, drop down into your heart space and collect those beautiful messages for you. As always, just a quick disclaimer, I use tarot in my healing, for healing. It's not to dictate your future. Please take total responsibility for your own life. Nobody can do that but you. It's really all about tapping into the collective consciousness and really clicking into healing energy that can support you at this time. Really, tarot should be about just recognizing what you already know and just giving you that extra support to say, yeah, you already knew this. That's what this is literally all about. anything is available for you. Anything that you want in this world, you can go get. So don't let anybody tell you or limit you to say that you can't get any of this. So that's why none of this should dictate what you do next, because you are limitless and you are able to do absolutely anything in this world. We're here to support you and really clap you on as you become the best person you possibly can be in this lifetime and in other lifetimes too, and in other parallel realities and universes also. But we'll deal with that in another in another lesson later on. So let's go ahead and get into pile 1. So let's do that right now. Okay, if you chose the Tiger's Eye, pile 1, these are your messages. Put the Tiger's Eye just over here out of sight, but the energy is still with us. And again, we're doing a pick a card. What messages of support do you need to hear right now? So I'm going to put the candle away, but the flame is with us. Flame energy. Just going to go rogue with this, feeling that we're just going to start with these oracle cards, and then we'll get into your tarot. So your first card is Rainbow. Feel at peace. Beautiful. And we've got, of course, this is the Unicorn deck. We absolutely had to start with the Unicorn deck. And then we have number 9, allowance. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way without judgment, without opinion, without fear, without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. Okay, that's your second card. And then we have a Temple of the Rose, ancient power, expression, activation, scarlet codes. Okay. And then you have it's time to take action, new moon in Aries. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So the first message that's coming in for you, pile 1, is that there's an energy in and around you of a new beginning, but it keeps coming in sort of spurts and growth periods and spurts, and it doesn't seem to be taking off for some of you the way in which that you want to see it go. So it's like a spurt of energy, and then you feel a little stagnant, spurt of energy, and then you feel a little stagnant. But that's okay. First of all, that we want to say that's all part of, it's probably not what you want to hear, but it doesn't mean that isn't true. It's all part of what's going on with your energy. It's all part of moving forward. This understanding that everything is sort of lucid as we move forward, and as we gain more information, everything is more available to us. That is true. But the resistance that may be coming up for some of you is all part and parcel of exactly where you need to be. Now, we say this for you because it's not resistance that would have happened for you in the past, where it would have shut everything down or shut down aspects of what you're going through. All in some ways, it is shutting down some aspects of what you're going through, or shutting down certain paths that may be available to you, which is amazing, because you're really at this point where you're getting ultra focused in what you want in life. So if you decide to go back and say, well, I'm still going to try that out, I'm not 100% sure that I shouldn't be doing that, but it'll, the universe will be working with you at lightning speed, and it'll shut that down really quickly, in which case it's saying, the universe is saying, there's nothing more for you to gather from that experience. You don't need that anymore. Don't worry about it. Move through it. So for some of you who are still, looking to stay open and going off in different directions, which of course is wonderful, if they do get shut down, you don't need to worry about that. The universe is just redirecting you, or keeping your direction in a very sort of your focus in a very direct sort of line, so you can move forward as quickly as possible. In short, what it's doing is it's really just getting rid of everything that you don't need anymore. So even if old stuff is coming up for you, it's really not negating what it is that you do or integrating into your everyday life in the same way as it may have done before. You can really differentiate between your heart space and your mind space in a way that's very, very powerful. Now, the one thing that's coming up for a lot of you, and again, each one of you is going to take this message very differently, and as you should, because you're all completely different, unique, beautiful people. But allowing yourself to really have this experience, allowing yourself to really focus on what it is that you want. Now, for some of you, there's a little bit of this inkling of pulling back a little bit from what you want. There's just this tiny bit that's coming up for you. Now, for most of you, you're really quite clear about what it is, right? You've been working on it. You've come to peace with what it is that you want. And you've come to peace with the understanding of the energy around what it is that you want. Like you've renegotiated how you view success. You've renegotiated how you view your own emotions. And you've given yourself a lot of thought and a lot of beauty. A lot of you have been giving yourself some time to heal, which is absolutely huge. Something that you haven't done before. Some space. And in that, some expression has been coming up for you where, different aspects of your personality have been expressed in a really safe and beautiful way. And you're feeling great about that because in the past, you might have been a little worried to show your true aspects of inner self or true aspects of maybe the vulnerability that you would have with your inner child, for instance, but in very, very safe environments, which is a wonderful place to do it. But even in the past, you may not have done that. But in these safe environments, you've allowed certain aspects of your personality to come out. And it's been delightful for people around you. And of course, this is a wonderful thing to do. Now, it is time to take action, and you can feel it's time to take action, and you're ready to do it. But there's just a little inkling here every now and again that comes up that says, it's this voice that's trying to protect you that says, well, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? Maybe you should have a backup plan, or maybe not even that bad. Maybe you should, not a backup plan, but just sort of letting you. And it's convincing you that, we're doing this to protect you because, you shouldn't be attached to the outcome. We should be completely open to everything that happens in our lives and see where everything sort of falls, And while we do agree with this, I think there's just a little tweak in how we can move this forward and clear this up for you a little bit because you're ready to take action. You're ready to do this. So it is true. It's wonderful to sort of let it all go in a way and not be really honed in on a very specific way that it's going to manifest or what it specifically is going to bring into your life when everything has been transformed and when you get quote unquote what you want. But it's okay to tap into the energy of what it's going to feel like when you have it. And that's the difference here. It's okay to say, yeah, all right, it might feel a little bit different on paper. It might look a little bit different on paper, but it's okay for me to say I'm going to be successful and this is going to be great. So your mind's getting a little confused here, and you just need to drop into your heart center. And again, give your mind something else to do. This really is about you've come so far in how you work your mind and how you work within the world and how you've really spent time allowing yourself to be in the world the way in which you want to do it. And you're ready to go for whatever it is that you want. And before, sometimes it's not that you've never really known what you wanted. It's that at times you've gone about it in different directions that, to be perfectly honest, just if you, failed, then the fall wasn't so great. And honestly, first of all, you've never failed. Anything that you've done is preparing you for this moment. And second of all, there was a little bit of a fear of holding back that, you didn't want to put absolutely everything you had into this, just in case it didn't really work out, and then you could keep something for yourself. But you're feeling this is definitely the time to go out there and do exactly what you want to do. Now, this ultra focus that you have is ready to come in. It's almost like your lens has been so clear for so long, but now it's really open and it's focusing on something with absolute clarity, and you know that you want. Now, again, it's okay for you to skip to the end and really feel into not necessarily what it looks like, how everything has transpired necessarily, and that's the trick to it, but how you feel when everything has been delivered to you because it's on its way to you. Now, for some of you, this is like a work thing. For some of you, it's a love thing. For some of you, it's something that you've been going for a while and you've been working towards for a while. Again, sometimes sort of, I keep getting this essence of a crab sort of moving sideways. The way in which you go for things may look a little bit different to other people because they're like, I wouldn't go for it that way. It may not be quote unquote direct the way in which you go for things, but you do get there and you do move forward. You do have your little successes. It's baby steps with you, and it's had to be baby steps that way. And the way in which you've healed has often been baby steps. And that's a wonderful way of doing things, because what you do slowly and you do thoroughly. Now, that's not to say that sometimes you don't absolutely go for it, and you have that side of your personality too. So sometimes you've gone for things and they've not really worked out. And that's why you're trying to figure out like that middle of the road thing, where when you go for things and they don't work out, you're like, oh, but I really, really tried. Well, you took a direction and you kind of went for it, but the focus may not have been there, and that's okay, because that experience was wonderful. But you can't chalk that experience up to you not getting what you want, or whatever you think that you want not being clear enough. It's been clear. It's just that the focus on it has been somewhat a little bit diluted. I hope this is making sense, out of protection for your own heart, just in case you wouldn't get it. But again, things are changing. The energy around you is changing. It's coming into clear focus. You can see what you want, and you can see the way in which you've gone at it before has been in a sort of a protective manner, is one way that we can see it, a little protective manner. I want to bring in one other card here. I'm feeling the rose energy for you, working with your heart chakra and working with that beautiful healing space of yours. Really connecting your heart and your mind here is a wonderful thing, and dropping down into your heart is really going to bring you up and really integrate these two ways that you've been working with yourself, the sort of like baby steps, getting out there, doing this and building your focus, and then taking that chance and really working with your energy of like, I'm going to go with my instinct here, which is a wonderful thing to do. And it maybe doesn't quite work out the way that you want. And then you think, but I went with my instinct. No. Going with your instinct, that's wonderful. The instinct is wonderful. It just lacks a little bit of that finite focus. That's all it is. It's all about the focus. And it's all about you really admitting what it is that you want and really saying it out loud. Write it down, declare it. This is it. Don't be ashamed, because you can absolutely get it without a shadow of a doubt, right? And then you have plant yourself here. Yeah, integration, embodiment, grounded action. So this is time for you, and you can do a little celebration about this. You can do a little ritual. You can do whatever you want. But it's time for you to really click into all aspects of self and say, this is what I want. I'm going for it now. And declaring it, right? There's no wrong or right way to do it. It's going to be a mixture with you, with the baby steps, and really listening to your intuition. Now, just because some of the actions that you've taken before have led you off in different directions, or as we said at the beginning of the reading, if you went off in one direction and then that was closed to you immediately, then the universe was just saying it's not necessary to go in this direction. It would have taken too long for you to do that. We don't want you to waste your time. We have a much more direct route for you. So if anything has been coming around and you've been feeling as though you've been falling short a little bit, or your mind's been playing tricks on you, like if you do it this way because you've done it this way before, it's gonna fall short. Don't worry about it. You are a completely different person. This is a completely different time. You're even working with completely different guides. So you are on a completely different path. It's all about integrating, again, heart and mind. And again, we want to be really focused. We want to be very clear that even though some of these things, when you've listened to your heart and you've moved in the direction of your instinct, if it's like, quote unquote, fallen short for you, it doesn't matter. Whatever you did, you still learned something from that, and you integrated that, and that is moving you forward in a way that's going to bring this success. So there's no failure here. There's nothing to look back on and say, I didn't quite do that right, or I didn't quite. You've done everything perfectly. And we want you to get used to this idea that you've done things perfectly, because you've done things so differently for so long, and people have compared themselves to you all the time and said, oh, I would never have done this that way, or this, that, and the other. Some of that attitude has come in sometimes, and sometimes you get to doubt yourself. But, you beat to your own drum. You're going to do things your own way. You're going to end up on your feet. And there's been other people that have said to you before, I don't know how you do it, but somehow you do and end up on your feet, or you do end up getting what you want at the last minute, or you do end up in a way, you seem to have this lucky kind of energy to you. Now, and don't think for a second that, those when people have said that to you, that shouldn't come in. You should remember those things. Remember those times that people have said that to you. Even if it was 20 years ago, it's still relevant now. Trust that, yes, you do things differently, without a shadow of a doubt. And yes, maybe the way in which you do things don't make sense on paper. That is totally fine. And maybe we live in an external world where people are viewing success based on X, Y, and Z. And at this point, you may not feel as though you can provide X, Y, and Z, but we promise you, however you are going to end up is going to be gorgeous, and it's going to show people that there are a million different ways to get to where you want to go to. So don't ever lose faith with yourself, faith with yourself at this point, especially now. You need laser focus and absolute belief. Now, if you're, and we like to give practical tips here on Unicorn Light Tarot. This is what we do. So if you're feeling a little bit of doubt, this is one way that you can deal with it. If you're feeling a little bit of doubt on what you are going to produce at the end, and say, this is exactly what I'm gonna have at the end, and it's gonna feel great. If you're feeling a little bit, wobbly about that, or you want to leave it a little bit more open, because when you do that, you attach to the outcome too much, that's fine. Then come back and really, really sit with the energy of what it feels like to have what you have. And again, don't worry about any of the specifics of it. How does it feel? How does it feel to have what you have, when you've done all of this work, and embody that energy of who you are in that time? We're going to promise you, when you embody that energy of that person who already has what you're going for, you're going to find quite beautifully that you are very, very close to the energy of having that. You're going to be able to embody that energy quicker, but you're not that far off now. There's an energy of you. There's a beauty. There's a confidence. If you're thinking, well, I don't quite have that confidence yet, you're closer to having that confidence than you ever had before. You are so close. All it takes is just a little bit tweaking here and there with some of the attitudes, some of the perspective, and you are going to be there a lot quicker than you could ever imagine. And this is important for you to realize, because it also denotes that really at the end, when you're looking at yourself at the end and you're imagining how you're going to feel, you can say, oh, yeah, you know what? I kind of feel like that now. So this really is coming to me, for me, around me so quickly. I've got this. So here we go. Now, yeah, you've got the Eight of Wands here, and this is reversed, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. You've got the Lovers here. Now, this just backs up what we said, and you've got the Seven of Cups. This is beautiful. So you're not dealing with the fantasy elements anymore, and you're not dealing with waiting for the universe to show you things on the external. You're going in and you're saying, I'm absolutely going to do this. And again, really hit back into that heart chakra. Hit back into the love of your past, the way that you've done this, the way that you are. This is a new way to embody all the work that you've done on yourself, all the healing that you've done. And to be clear, the healing is all about just releasing what no longer serves you, and really understanding that a lot of that stuff that didn't serve you really didn't come from you. You were holding onto it as a way to keep hold of some old relationships, or keep hold of some attachments that you had with family and stuff like that, and that's totally fine. But now all of that has sort of shifted and changed, and there's a way for you to release all of that. But this is all about love. This is all about unity. Now, for some of you, it absolutely could mean, now let's get into that. Let's find out. For some of you, this absolutely could mean new love coming into your life. Usually with the Lovers card, with this is all about the love that you have for yourself, but it is a sign of unity. So if you've been looking for love and this is your outcome, again, this is something that you would be very close to at this time. You've got the Page of Swords in reverse, but yeah, it's not about fighting any of this. And then you've got the Moon. So this is in reverse too. So there is illumination for you coming in. Now, you've always worked sort of, not necessarily with moon energy. Some of you may have worked with moon energy, but you've worked very well with the unknown. some might say the darkness. You're very good at that. Now, the reason why some of you might be a little bit confused is that a lot of you who have been working with the unknown before is more working with the light now. You're directly in correspondence with the light. That's not to say that you weren't light beings or anything like that. Of course you were. But you were more conscious of the unconscious. You've worked very much in those realms before, the sort of dark realms. The realms that people are terrified of, that was who you were. That's what you were doing. You've done so much deep work with that you're going to start seeing the payoffs, right, in such an incredible way. And that's why you're not looking to the external to say, oh, right, I can, I've got 150 followers, I've got this, that, and the other, it must be doing well. You're going to keep up with this. You're going to keep doing this. None of that matters to you. And of course, it matters that you're putting the work out there and it matters that you're showing up, but you're not looking for results in the way that you did to secure the future that you think that you want. And again, the way in which you've been working before, again, you've sort of worked in those dark realms. Now, even when you do work in those dark realms, you're bringing a huge amount of lightness to them in a way that you didn't before. Again, it's not that you weren't light, you're a light being, but you weren't here to do that. You were here to cast the shadows, to show people what they needed to see. You're working in a very different way with the light. So, sun energy for the first time for many of you might be a really, really interesting way to work. Sun goddesses, sun gods might be a great way for you to work in a way when you normally would work with the illusion or the moon energy. You're still moon children, moon babies. Don't worry about that. But moving in that direction and actually encouraging more light-filled energy. And again, something that, not to plug, it really genuinely came up. But the Unmasking Darkness, this is a perfect example of something that you could do too, insofar as, hitting up with and staying with the theme of the unknown and the hidden and the darkness, which is something that you're very good, but working with how to illuminate all of that in such a great way and moving into how you illuminate that in a different way. This is something that you would be great at this point, but focusing on the light aspect of it, whereas before you would be focusing on the deeper, darker aspects of that. Coming in from that point of view it's gonna give a phenomenal trajectory of your work. It's gonna come in from a completely different point of view. And this is, maybe something that you were missing a little bit before. When you started projects, you thought you were really into them, and then you started them, they didn't quite take off the way that you wanted, or you lost interest and the focus wasn't there. This happened a couple of times, but it doesn't matter, because all of this energy is integrating everything that you've done before and culminating into this energy, almost hearing this drum beat as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, getting you to where you need to go. And this is all about the energy that you've put out there and all the truth that you've had moving forward, illuminating all of this energy. And you are ready to move forward. But again, the way in which you move forward is going to be really, really different. So the way in which, just to recap, you're going to focus from the mind to the heart center, really integrate both of those, really hit into the way in which you've been working with the darkness or the unknown, we should say the subconscious, realms that people are terrified to be in. But you're going to be hitting them up with a brand new way of doing this, with illumination. And it's not something that really gets done, because people who work in the light work in the light, right? And people who work in the darkness tend to work in the darkness. And while everything that you've touched is technically illuminating, sure, but this is brand new, the way in which you illuminate all of the subject matters, and all you need is this laser focus that you've been working up to. And the universe, again, has been really, really supporting you in this focus. If you go off in this direction and your focus gets diluted, the universe comes back and says, nope, we're not putting you in that direction. You don't need to do that, kiddo. We're gonna put you right back here. This is where we want you to go. This is where we want you to be for everything to take off. So really embrace this illumination phase. You're still doing what you want. You've got new guides coming in. You've got new energy coming in to work with the light in a new way. And everything that you touch is going to be slightly different now. And this is where you're at. It's coming up with new information that's really, really pleasing. Now, even if it's a tiny little bit away from what you think other people are doing, and it's maybe not quite as focused, not focus, but, you know, if like, okay, a lot of people are doing this, you know, my take on it's just a little bit different. Trust us, your take on it that might be a little bit different, but nobody else is doing it. It's just that you're not used to that yet. So trust us. Embrace where you are right now. Go for that illumination, but take in that energy and all of that work and everything that you've done, all of that wisdom that you have working with those, for some of you, dark realms, that could be parallel universes. It's getting a little woo-woo there, but, you know, bear with us. For those of you that resonate with that part, definitely. But take that, move forward with it, integrate heart, mind, and again, move forward. Keep trusting yourself. You're absolutely on it. And be laser focused on what it is that you want. And again, don't worry about the outcome. If you're doing the outcome stuff, how do you feel when you've gotten it? Yes, there will be surprises. Yes, the universe is going to deliver far more than you could ever imagine. So don't worry about, because when you focus on the specifics of it, you do get tripped up a little bit. That's okay. There's a way to trick your mind, and that's what you're doing. You don't have to trick your mind. You're working with your mind, but you're working definitely with all aspects of self. Full integration here with the Temple of the Rose card here, with your ancient power, that's your wisdom that you've been working with, which is exquisite wisdom, by the way, with your expression. You're ready for these codes and you're ready to activate them. So anything you touch right now with that laser focus is going to show up for you, and it's going to blow up in a beautiful way. In a beautiful way. Yes, probably in a way you couldn't imagine it. So don't worry about imagining it, but do focus on the person that you will be when it happens. And then really watch that bridge of where you are now and where you will be then. And honestly, you're going to see that you are already you're already encapsulating all of those energies. So you know it's right there. Keep the faith, Pearl One. You've got this. You are so close. That laser focus. You are beautiful, and thank you for all the beautiful work that you've done on yourself. You have no idea how much you've changed the world already, and you are just beginning. We are sending you so much love. We are sending you so much light and beauty right now. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to your guides for being here and overseeing this beautiful message for you. And of course, do check out Unmasking Darkness. I think you're going to really love it. Take care until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, my lovely. You have chosen pile 2, so let's find out with your pick a card, what messages of support do you need to hear right now? So if you chose the rose quartz, this is you. I'm going to put the rose quartz just aside here. We've got a little candle. I'm going to put it off to the side. Let's start with your oracle cards. Let's see what beautiful messages we have for you today. All right, you've got 1967, break your routine. Of course, we have to have the unicorn card. That's your first card. And then you've got romantic love, 39. The frequency of romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience and reflection of a conscious lover. Okay. And then you have the bud, potential promise. It's about to happen. Keep going. Oh. And then a win-win outcome is forecast. All right, my lovelies. So normally, this doesn't happen that often, where we focus on romantic love, but it does seem to be coming up in this. Now, when we say romantic love, we're going to use this as a little bit of an archetype. Now, I'm going to push this back. The flame is still with us, but I want to make sure that we have enough room for all of our cards so you can see them. So we're going to use this as a little bit of an archetype here of romantic love and what you've been told romantic love is and all of that malarkey, right? So this is the energy that's in and around you now. And it's a heart-filled energy, but it's a little bit different also. You're breaking down the understanding of, so there's a lot of components to this. So let's see how we can articulate this. So everybody might be in completely different stages of this, but it's about sort of, in one term, what you're going to put up with or what you put up with in the past versus what you want now. Some of it is self-expression, some of it is self-love. Some of it is how you've dumbed yourself down in the past. Now, this is not necessarily romantic love, but this is in loving relationships, what you've considered to be loving relationships. This is also friends, how you've been viewed, there's an aspect with some of you where it was easy for you to fit in a certain way. So you dumbed aspects of yourself down. Now, it doesn't sound like that's got anything to do with romantic love, but it does, because when you compromise aspects of yourself, then it folds over like an envelope. And before you know it, things have folded over in a way that it becomes a little bit more difficult to access those parts of yourself. And then you feel a little sort of bit out there in the world in the way that you're unsure of who you are, or the grounding that you felt before has sort of shifted a little bit. You get a little bit confused about, you second guess yourself, this, that, and the other. And it's way in which you've done this before in many different sort of relationships. Now, it's not really out of self-hatred or anything like that, or anything dramatic like that. It's more that for some of you, and again, it gets so complicated. For some of you, you felt as though, there are parts of yourself that were so illuminated, it would frighten other people, so you had to put them aside for a little while. There's many different reasons why you would have done that. Also, you wanted the experience that was in hand. This has happened to you several times. And while it's not a bad thing to do, nothing's a bad thing to do. Go be you in every sense of the word. You're not going to do that anymore. But you might have had a relationship, or the type of relationship that was right in front of you, and you said, all right, well, if I'm going to be really honest, this relationship's going to show me exactly what I already know, but I kind of want it anyway. So you dumbed certain parts of yourself down in order to be on the same level as that person, in order to have those relationships. And again, not really a big deal, but of course those relationships didn't work out. Not necessarily the way in which you hoped. In fact, most of you realized it was going to kind of go that way, but you had that experience and that's what you wanted. But when you got to the end of it, you kind of forgot that you were in it for the experience. And then, of course, because you're beautiful and you're amazing, and you have this beautiful open heart, you could have gotten a little bit of disappointment. And as you go through these relationships, and again, some of this may have been with romantic love, some of this may have been with friend type people, and so different aspects of yourself have been folded in, and now you're illuminating all of that and you're bringing it out. Now, the first thing that's happening, which is really brilliant, and this is to do with the breaking the routine too. You're saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm not dumbing myself down in any way, shape, or form anymore. And we're just going to say this. You're saying everybody can go to hell. Not literally. But you're doing it in a way to really prove to yourself and to really cement this understanding that you're not going to take away from yourself anymore, right? So, just when you say everybody goes to hell, you don't mean it, but it's this force of, I'm not doing this anymore, right? And that's how we know the win-win outcome is forecast. You're putting yourself first in every shape or form. Now, the other side of it is, for some of you who are thinking that you're ready for romantic love, and a lot of you have gone into this cocoon period and you weren't ready for it, you didn't want it, or when you came out, you put your energy out there, you weren't quite attracting what you wanted, or you didn't have time for it, it wasn't, a myriad of different reasons. You're all individual, beautiful people who have your own individual, unique paths. So see this and take this information of how it resonates to you and how it can work for you at this time. So some of you may have even turned your back on love, or this idea of it, or some of you may have, in maybe a seemingly slightly smaller way, but it really isn't small at all, the fact that you've attracted the wrong kind of people. We don't mean romantic people necessarily, but like you had that energy that people were drawn to you, but they didn't treat you necessarily that well, and you were kind of shocked by that. It's like, oh, I thought we were friends, or this, that, and the other. Now, this is, as you're looking back, you're noticing this. There may have been red flags, or they started acting a certain way more at the beginning of the relationship, but you let it all go because, again, you wanted the experience. You wanted the experience of being around somebody like that. But understanding that the beauty in what you saw of them, also may have fallen short because they still weren't doing the spiritual work that you were doing. So even though these people may not be around you anymore, the experience of it still is, and it's being brought up to the surface now. Now, it's not being brought up to the surface to quote unquote to be healed necessarily. And when we say healing, we just mean releasing what no longer serves you anymore, so you can really see who you are. Not that necessarily, not in the way of, oh, this happened, or they did this, or they did that. This is more of like a sort of a looking back, and this almost defiant but beautiful way of saying, yeah, you know what, I did do that. I put up with that, and I shouldn't have done that. And maybe the way in which I reacted to it later on might have seemed a little bit harsh because I had been putting up with this energy for so long. And some of you may have snapped at some point, said, I'm done. And then they're like, I can't believe you're acting like this. And actually, it's almost like you just woke up and just said, I'm not doing this anymore, right? Again, these types of people or this relationship type may not be around you anymore, but it's coming up for you in a way to be reviewed, which is really, really helpful for you because there's a potential of something that's coming in that's really great for you. There's a potential of you, that seed, that budding seed that you had before. It's coming up and it's ready to be to come into its flowering mode. It sounds a little naff, but bear with me. That sort of lotus flower, and the lotus flower really, it grows from the mud and it's absolutely gorgeous, right? So it's all of these experiences that you've put yourself through with the understanding that you were there to do the experience. Now, again, as you move through it, you got disappointed. That may have gotten a little hazy and you may have forgotten that and you still allowed the disappointment to come in, and that's okay. But this is about regrouping. This is about allowing all aspects of yourself to integrate and move forward. And that way you have something a little bit in common with Pile 1, but this focus is completely different. So this is a matter of not coming back to self-love. We could go on about self-love for a million different years. What does that mean? It's going to mean something completely different to each and every one of you. But one thing that's congruent with every single one of you is that it's self-appreciation. Not just putting your energy first. This is something that you have been doing. So this is no new news for you, but this is an energy of literally putting your energy first. And it's going to feel really strange for some of you where you're saying, no, I'm going to go for it no matter what. I'm going to go for it no matter what. And it's almost like, as you're forging your path, you do love and you do want what you want, but you're constantly looking around and focusing on, am I hurting somebody else? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And am I doing that? Now, all of that is wonderful, but you over focus on that and it trips you up. You don't need to do that. Trust us, right? Now, if something does happen and let's just say you do F up and you do offend somebody or do that, somebody's going to come to you and you're going to go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Because you know what? Getting through this life without making any mistakes, good luck. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? Like, we're here to make mistakes. We're here to be gloriously sort of imperfect. But like trying to factor in the imperfection as you go through and you try to build up your sort of empire, for want of a better word, is exasperating. It's exhausting for you, right? Constantly thinking of, how you can keep everybody going at the same time or whatever. So when you put your focus first, this is a laser focus again. We talked about this in Pile 1, but very different circumstances. A laser focus of just putting your energy first. This is going to feel so strange to you, Pile 1. And this is part of the romantic love about the promise. It's going to happen. Keep going, right? This is the energy of putting your focus first. This is what I want. Not factoring in other people's this, that, and the other. Now, that's not to say that you're going to be, a bulldozer just going in there and getting, mowing down everybody. I don't care about anybody else. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't do that. That's just, you're not built that way. Not in this lifetime. That's not what you're here to do. Now, in other lifetimes, you may have done it, but I don't want to say corrected you. We don't want to say corrected you, but you've already worked through all of that. So you don't have to worry about that. And again, if something happens where, some people come back and they're a little bit shocked about how you're getting out there and how sort of, to you, it's going to feel aggressive. It really isn't, but it's going to feel aggressive. I'm going out there, I'm doing it or whatever. And you've got this in your system. You've got this in your personality type. You've had this when you've really focused on something, you've gone out and done it. So this is not news to you. You know that you can do it, but you've let a little part of that personality, part of your personality go before, trying to be great with everybody else. And maybe that's a part of trying to make up for your past because you feel like you've made a lot of mistakes or this, that, and the other. But you've done that. You've made peace with your past. You've done everything that you needed to do. And again, if you're moving forward and, and people are coming up and they're not expecting you to be like that, you still don't need to apologize. But if there is a situation where you've gone in a direction you feel like you need to apologize, you'll be the first one to be like, all right, sorry, whatever. It doesn't change the trajectory of how you're moving, what you're doing, what you want. But you'll be like, all right, I will lay that in mind now. This is something that I'm not going to, that part of it, maybe I'm going to tone down on, but I'm still going for it. This is a new way for you to do this. So getting back to the original card. there's some kind of a completion coming in. Now, for some of you with romantic love, again, all of you are at different stages. You might be moving forward with it and, making, I don't know if anything can be permanent, but, moving forward with the love that you have, taking it to the next step. Or for some of you, you're ready for that love. You haven't been ready before, but you're ready. For some of you, and mostly for all of you, no matter where you are in this sort of the love aspect of your life, this is really about bringing in and integrating all of those little pieces of yourself again that kind of got layered up with the intentions of helping other people, right? So it's sort of excavating those, right? And it's very exciting time for you because you've always known that you were quite sensitive and you have that beauty to you, but that sensitivity actually can help you in many different ways now that it's been uncovered that you didn't really fathom before. So this is a new time for you. This is why it feels like a sort of a ripe time for you to be open, to be available for love. Now, romantic love is part of it too, but loving yourself again, or allowing yourself to really go for what you want, or choosing differently, right? If you weren't thinking about anyone else and you were just going for what you wanted, what would you do? What kind of person would you want? Being really clear. And this could be like being really clear about the path that you want. Whereas before you were like, yeah, I kind of want this, but maybe I'll go in that direction because I can get that too, or this, that, and the other. This one is like, it's like, this is my path. It's crystal clear. This is what I want. I'm ready to do it. Yeah, I'm going to stay open to how it comes into my life, but this is what I want. I know I'm worthy of it now. Again, excavating all of that other stuff. Again, for some of you, it's going to feel weird because you're putting yourself first in a brand new way. You've been working on putting aspects of yourself first, but not in this like really kind of raw way that you're doing now. So this is amazing. And honestly, it's about time, pal two. Well done. Yeah, look at that. Gorgeous card. One of my favorite cards. Love it, love it, love it. Death. It's over. You're not doing this anymore. You're not, you're not being in a position where you're not putting your intentions first. You're not putting yourself first, your wants first. You're not getting involved in anybody else's drama. You're going to hold your own the way that you want to do this, and you're going to do this on your own terms. It almost feels as though you've spent a life as being very much who you are, but still working on other people's terms, because you held so much space for other people. And a lot of people who you held space for kind of took up that space, in ways that you didn't really quite understand or really realize, because aspects of you were being hidden behind layers and layers and layers of things that were going on. So a lot of you in the past may have been, and I wouldn't say you attracted drama per se, although in past, like before you may have, but you did attract people who had sort of dramatic situations. You may have been in a situation where you were able to excavate yourself from them, so it didn't directly and you said to yourself, well, I'm not directly involved in this. This is the other person's life. But we want to remind you that all of that energy would have been around you all the time, one way or another. Even though you weren't maybe completely in that person's life, they were still in and around you, and that you still would have been affected by it. So this is what we're talking about when we say you're not doing anymore. You're putting your foot down. This is a new way of being. You're breaking that routine. You're breaking that habit. Now, you've been a long time working at this one way or another, excavating, figuring this out, having bouts of anger, saying, I can't believe I did this, or I put up with that. When those bouts of anger come up, please recognize them, and please honor them, because you have absolute right, because there are some things that you put up with, and God love you, not everybody would have. And it's okay to get angry, and then release it immediately. You don't want to go back into and get sucked into that rabbit hole of that energy of how it existed before. Not that we think that you will, but if it comes up and it will be a bout of anger, you release it and say, and that really will put you back on the step of, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm definitely not doing this anymore. Holding your root of being really firm in who you are, the way in which you ground into the earth, the way in which you ground into your own personality, which is shifting and changing, by the way, growing, we should say, exponentially, actually, for some of you, is going to be completely different. How you hold your energy, the energy you put out into the world here too, as you move forward, everything that you touch will be completely different. So expect different results. This is a really, really beautiful time for you. This is a time for expanded self-expression. This is a time for, like, not taking any prisoners, as I used to say, nor should you. Now, for some of you, if it feels as though, again, the way in which you're, expressing yourself seems a little like almost violent to you because you're not used to it, keep on with it. That's fine. You'll be able to soften the way in which you communicate a little bit later. You'll find that not everybody will be taken back by it, but the people who were, maybe they just need to cop on and get used to it. And again, when you've crossed that line, which you probably won't, but if you do, you'll be able to go back and correct yourself if it happens. But this is you getting used to this new you going forward. You've got the Holy Grail. Stop the endless searching inner quest. Yeah, this is a way for you to say, all right, I'm doing this and I'm doing it on my own terms. I don't need to do it with everybody else's energy anymore. I don't need to carry everybody else anymore. And this is you, the Holy Grail, the death. You're waiting for this. You've got this. And that's the way you don't have to wait for things to come to you anymore. You can go grab them. So for you, it's really, it's working more in the masculine energy, but don't be fooled. This is very much in the feminine energy that you have too with this inner quest. This is a real sort of defiance of the way in which you did things before, and a real strength that's coming through that absolutely is mirrored or circled all the way through the sort of the feminine energy that you have. You won't be able to do this with masculine energy if the feminine energy isn't coming in. So make sure that your guides that are around you are feminine guides also too. I even, working with Jesus, I always see him as very sort of feminine energy too, and he usually comes, when I work with him, with Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is very much around, or Mary Mother Queen of Angels. This could be a wonderful holy trio for you to work with. If you have already, or you've been called to them. Not everybody wants to go in that direction, and that's totally fine. Always do what's right for you. These are just suggestions of how to move forward. But again, moving forward in the way that you want, and really just grabbing life by the balls really is what keeps coming up, and doing things on your own terms. This is a beautiful way for you to really solidify everything that you are, and everything and all of the growth that you've had. Also, expect new results and new opportunities in the future, because this is absolutely brand new for you. Don't be put off by the way people may react to you initially. It's absolutely fine, even if they've started to do this. And now we don't want to give you any negativity in that way. Some people will be quite impressed by the way that you're stepping up and saying, this is what I want, and be proving an example, really very much an example. For people who want to step into their own energy, their own beauty, their own sort of authenticity, which is what you're doing, bringing in different aspects of yourself, but also not letting anybody dumb you down anymore before. And again, the process in which you did it, you may have realized that you were doing it, and you were doing it for the experience, which is not a bad way to be. But the outcome looked very different at the end. So it's just that it did cost you a little bit of something. And again, that's all part of the experience. But now it's calling all those aspects back from you, from different parts of you. And if this is something that you wanted to do as a ritual too, you don't have to make a big deal out of it, but doing a meditation too, where you call different aspects back from yourself, from maybe even past lives, but past relationships, bringing it back, solidifying them, and make sure to cleanse them too. When they come back, aspects of yourself, because they've been sort of deeply hidden between sort of your consciousness and other people's consciousness that may not have been as elevated as you are right now. So make sure that you cleanse all of that before you integrate fully and then reactivate on this new term that you have. But yeah, everything's ready for you. The romantic love, this new love. Now, again, this talks about working with love. When you've been working with will, you've been working with so many other aspects. You've even been working with darkness. And again, you have that in common with Power One. But now you're working from the realm of love. Now, when you work from the realm of love, you come from a place of profound self-respect. There is absolutely nothing, we want to repeat this, absolutely nothing that you cannot obtain at this time, as long as that your heart is in it and it's for the good for you and the world at large. There's absolutely nothing at this point that you can't bring to you. And you're sensing this energy, you're feeling and sensing this power. There's nothing that you can do to corrupt this power, because this power lies within you. Don't be afraid of it. Stand into it. You've got this, absolutely. And get excited. Get used to miracles coming into your life. When these little miracles start coming in, acknowledge that the little miracles are coming in and wait for the bigger miracles to come in. Don't wait for them exactly, but just know that they're coming. But acknowledge all of these little miracles coming in and all this magic coming into your life as it's encased in love. And keep into that love. Drop into your heart space constantly. Everything that you need to do, infuse it with the energy of love, and there's nothing that you cannot achieve at this time, Pile 2. This is an incredible reading. Go be you. We're sending you so much love and light, so much beauty. We're going to thank your guides for being here. Thank you for being here and joining us again after a year. Don't forget to check out Unmasking Darkness. It really is a great podcast. Would love to see you there. Until we meet again, go be you. Bye-bye. Okay, my lovely, if you chose pile 3 and this beautiful clear quartz here, this is your message. And again, we are doing pick a card. What messages of support do you need to hear right now? Push this back so we have more room. I'm going to actually start with your oracle cards here. So let's see what beautiful messages we have for you. I'll put that so it's in them. Okay, pipe dream. Dreams become a reality. That's beautiful. Love that. And of course, we have the unicorn card. You've got divine masculine, number 22. The frequency of divine masculine supports our strong focus and active side, allowing it to express itself while helping us to bring our dreams and ideas into form with kindness and wisdom. And you've got the 22 there, double digits, if I can say that properly. Let's put this a bit further back. And then you've got the child within, inner mother, innocence, gentleness, and tenderness. Beautiful. And then you've got, look at the bigger picture, full moon in Sagittarius. All right, so the first thing feeling here is a little bit of resilience, first of all, pile 3, but a little bit of frustration for some of you with bringing in different types of energy or how you move in the world. Now, for some of you, it's definitely some confusion. For some of you, it would be either starting out new or thinking that you wanted something and revising a plan. For some of you, it's changing things up, looking at the bigger picture. There's seems to be a lot of confusion in some ways. For some of you, it's really about, not necessarily what you want. You're clear on what you want, but how you get it. And trying on different aspects or different personality parts of yourself in order to move forward, or in order to feel as though you're making progress. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge that, first of all, everything that you've been doing is amazing. Well done. The second thing that we're going to say is a little gentleness and tenderness here is really needed. It feels as though the divine masculine for some of you has been really sort of running rampant a little bit, insofar as that the will has been coming up. It's like, if we do it this way, we're going to do this. It's almost like, sort of spiraling you into, I have to do it this way, or this is the way that I should be doing it. And also just this tenderness, is just this need to sort of slow down. And to take a minute. The first thing that we're going to do is acknowledge how far you've come. And I don't think that any of you, to the most part, have really acknowledged how far you've come. And that's really, really important to understand. All the experiences that you built up, and everything when you look back. It feels like some of you may be comparing your life to others and saying, all right, well, I've made certain sacrifices. I've done certain things with my life, but I haven't really had the payoff. quite that I wanted yet, but others have gone in a different direction and they've kind of gotten the things that I wanted. And if I had done it a different way, I could have gotten that, and maybe I could have done things a different way. I mean, sure, of course you could have done things a different way, but we want to promise you that the way in which you decided to move forward and do things the way that you wanted to do on your own terms, don't diminish that in any way. It's the way that you wanted to do it, and it's totally fine. The way in which you've done things is absolutely beautiful. It will yield results. Your life may look different to those around you. Now, you're not one necessarily to compare yourself to others necessarily, but you're just at the stage where you're trying to figure out your next move. You're trying to figure out like your energy and how you've progressed and what you're doing. It's almost like, not even an end of life review or anything crazy like that, because you're not at the end of your life, but just a kind of review to see, as I move forward, the way in which I've moved before is this, sort of a check-in. Maybe the check-in's gone, has gone rogue and it's gotten really, really specific, or it's gotten really, really intense, and then you started sort of comparing yourself. And we promise you that that's always going to fall short, because the way in which you do things is going to be different. So of course your payoff is going to be different to other people. Now, it does feel as though we also want to have you realize that, certain sacrifices, you feel as though, for some of you, you feel as though the sacrifices that you made may not have been worth it if things are coming in for you. But we want to promise you that even the people that you're comparing yourself to made sacrifices also. And as you're looking at them going, maybe I could have done it that way, they're looking at you going, I wish I had done it that way. So the grass is always greener, first of all. And you're not really staying in this energy. It's not necessarily bogging you down, but it's coming up for you in a way that we can definitely speak today on it again. And looking at the bigger picture, as you choose certain things, you can't possibly compare that to how other people have chosen things in their lives too. Now, what it is that you feel as though you may be quote unquote missing, or the things that, you haven't gotten the payoff yet per se, that's coming, and that can come in really, really divine ways, and in ways that you couldn't have anticipated in any way, shape or form. And it will look absolutely beautiful. In short, you can still get that, right? You can still have that. And the universe knows that this is the stuff that you want, but we also want to remind you that stuff that you want is somewhat incidental. When you look deeper, it's something much more that you want, this understanding of connection. And when you go into what you really, really, truly want, the connection, and you look back on your life, you did have that connection with the work and the choices that you made and all of that stuff. It's just the payoff stuff maybe that you're maybe lagging behind compared to some of your people that are around you. Like, maybe I would love that, or that lovely big house, or this, that, which again, totally fine. These are things that can be gotten. These are things that can be attracted. But the way in which you've lived your life with this integrity and moving forward, even though on the external world, it may not have the bigger payoff. You may not have as much to show for it, or you think you don't have as much to show for it. But what you've cultivated doesn't necessarily show up on paper, and that is incredible. And that's the stuff that's going to bring in the other stuff that is actually incidental, like the physical stuff, like, that type of abundance, or whatever it is, that type of freedom that comes from abundance, and this, that, and the other. That is cultivated from stuff that you have been cultivating your entire life, that maybe other people haven't, and that's fine. Everybody has choices to do that. So invariably, we say, if you are comparing yourself to other people, it's always going to be an unfair comparison. For those of you who have been doing that, you've been frustrated lately about that, quit it. Cut it out. There's no point, right? We promise you that whatever you've been through, all those experiences that you've been through, they've been really important to you, and they're bringing you to something bigger and better, and you will be getting that. And again, we want to remind you that the connection that you've been seeking, you've been actively working on, which is really at the crux of everything that you really want anyway. Even if you acquired all of these other things that you've been comparing yourself to that you don't have, wouldn't matter if you didn't have that connection. This is what you're here to do. This is what you've been working on. And this is coming to you in a way that you've never had before. So please look back on not just your past, but your recent past, and see how far you've come. And look around you. You're going to see that progress. Maybe it may not be as far as along as you think it should be, but we promise you that progress is there. And we also want to remind you that that connection that you really hone in on, you can jump from one space to another space. You don't, you've been doing baby steps and you've been really improving little bit by little bit, but you don't always have to do the baby steps. You can really, like, once you hone in on this information, once you really hone in on this energy, and really claim it, you can go from baby steps to, I can't believe my life is like this after 6 months. You're in that space right now to go into height warp speed. So again, don't put yourself into that space of, or compare yourself to stuff that you've done in the past. That's another thing that's coming up for people. Some people are ready to launch something again, and in the past maybe it didn't work out quite the way it did, or for some reason you're comparing yourself to something that happened in the past that you were a completely different person with. So this has got new energy. You're a new person. This is new energy around it. It's not the same. Everything's going to take up a different shape or form. So if you're the one that's comparing yourself to things that you've done in the past, right? That didn't really qualify or step up in the way that you wanted or show the results that you wanted, and you're ready to get back out there again, let it all go. This is new energy. Focus on that connection. Focus on the love of what it is that you're doing. We promise you it's going to take off in ways that you could not have even anticipated. So you've got Temperance reversed, you've got the Nine of Cups reversed, and you've got the Four of Wands. So, again, this attitude or this energy that you've had around you recently, it's taking you away from the magic of life, pile 3, and you are here to be magical. Now, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't be able to turn this upside down, turn your frown upside down, turn this upside down and have that Nine of Cups back to you, because that's the wishing card, that beautiful card. Any of you have had a wish from the beginning of something that you want to accomplish. We promise you, if it stayed with you from little baby to you now, you're going to achieve it. All of those other things that you wanted to be when you were a kid, you grew out of, or it turned into something else. Those were things that happened then. But if you still have this energy, you're going to achieve it. It's going to happen. Okay, so the masculine to the divine masculine energy is absolutely wonderful, but it really doesn't register in that way if you're using that will. Really come into that energy, really encase or incorporate this sort of this patience, this temperance, and this understanding of where you've come from, and this real sort of deliverance of sorts of who you are. You've really been working on an expansion of self. Again, that may not show up in the way that you are being fair to yourself. So when you're comparing yourself to other things or other situations, it may not be that obvious to you, the gentleness that's come up with you, how you've changed, how you've softened, right? And with that softening, you really do get that direction. You really do get that beautiful essence there of softening and coming back into your heart. And that's where that connection is going to come in. So this may not show as a real payoff for you, but we promise you it's a much bigger payoff than the stuff that you are latching onto and saying, well, this hasn't shown up for me yet. So, obviously I'm not worth anything. That's rubbish. What you've been working on is stuff that other people don't work on. And again, the people who may have what you think you want right now may not have worked on it either, but we promise you, you've been working on it. And if you really allow yourself that distance, give yourself a little bit of distance and come in with some of that feminine energy, that real peaceful energy of seeing how far you've come and how much you've grown, you can see from that, you can bloom and go in any direction. And we also want to remind you that what you're looking for is really incidental. The promptings from the external world. We don't want to, dumb down your dreams. If nobody should feel bad about wanting success for what you do and being handsomely paid for what you do and being celebrated for what you do because you're brilliant at what you do. That's absolutely wonderful. But again, at the end of it, it will all come down to connection to self, connection to your work, connection to the people of the earth and what you're here to do, connection to everything that you've set up to do in this world. That's really what it comes down to. So when it boils down to that, have patience, give yourself some space, really really be able to see it and articulate it in your own life, that growth that you've given yourself, that understanding, that compassion that you've given yourself, that quite frankly you would not have done 5 years ago or 10 years before, right? Give yourself that energy. Let's pull some extra cards for you. Feeling the need for that. There's rose energy cards here too. You come such a long way, and that other stuff can be just around the corner, and you're just beating yourself up. Especially for some of you, if you've had a little bit of a blow recently, if something's happened where you weren't sure it was going to go in a different direction, it didn't go in that direction, and then it hit you for a loop a little bit. Trust us, the universe is directing you in a different way. It will make sense later on. The lineage of the rose, moved by the goddess, here for this, so cool, gather. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the energy of goddess, or the energy of that sort of the inner warrior, where you are working with that divine masculine and that wonderful energy, but also that fierceness of the divine feminine too. Loving yourself, that's so cool. Again, the gathering, it's all talking about that connection also too, and building those frames, those walls around you, not building them up so you're expanded walls, because they're a foundation for you. You have that house, you have whatever it is that you need. You're not building up those walls so you can keep people out. You're actually expanding your walls so people can see who you are. So this is a soul call for you. Now, for some of you, it may, not all of you, but for some of you, it may feel as though you've gone through the soul call. You've gone through kind of a little bit of a time for you. The crunch is there. Something's happened. Something broke. Something, whatever. It just sort of fell apart. Something. It's okay. It's absolutely okay that it happened in this way. We promise you, you may not be able to see the bigger picture right now, but it's all happening for you. And the end result will make a huge difference when you realize if you went off in this direction, or if this worked out for you versus that way. We promise you it will all make sense. It doesn't need to make sense right now. Keep up with the energy of the connection. Keep up with the being in that present moment where you're happy being you and being very grateful for where you are. That's going to go a long way here, and the rest of it's going to come in. It's going to happen in inspiration. It's going to happen when you connect to that understanding of connection, all these inspiring ideas, and you're going to be led in different directions that may seem a little off the beaten path, but they're going to make sense to you. You're going to draw in the right people. You're going to draw in the right opportunities, the right circumstances that, quite frankly, you wouldn't have been in a position to draw in had you have gone off in this other direction that may or may not have worked out for you, or may have worked out for you but have fallen short in a way, or not quite where you wanted to be. It may have seemed expansive at the time, but it would have been actually ended up being something that held you in place in a way that would have not let you expand your wings, if that makes sense. So everything's happening for the right reason. It really is. So if the sail, the wind has been blown out of your sail, that is ridiculous. That doesn't even make sense. But you know that saying. Then don't worry. There's plenty of wind coming. That also sounds absolutely ridiculous. But hopefully you've got the Queen of Swords here. So yeah, don't underestimate that feminine energy coming in and really alerting you to what you truly do want and getting to the point really quickly. So if you've been let down, something's coming in for you that is far greater, and it's going to get you to where you want to be much quicker. Also, it's going to cut to the heart of what it is and who it is that you want. The Queen of Swords here really does indicate that you're on the precipice of something big. You are. You have to just stay in this energy of gratefulness, of receiving. If you're constantly being down on yourself, you're pushing everything away. Stay in this receptive state, which is why we're saying it, bring in the element of that beautiful, the patience, that temperance, right? That temperance card, but also with the divine feminine. It doesn't mean that you're going to let everybody walk all over you. This is finite information. This is finite energy of like, yeah, this is who I am. This is where I am. I know it now. This is like highly intelligent, articulate kind of the way in which you're speaking, the way in which you're articulating, the way in which you're standing in your authenticity right now. And then you're sort of standing up renewed and you're saying to the universe, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this again. I'm ready to go out there and I'm ready to see what you've got for me. You know, it's okay. It's almost like you're sort of coming back from like a fight or a perceived fight. Again, this is all going to make sense in the end. And it's not really in the end, like the end of the story. It's going to make sense now, soon, quickly. But stand in this energy too, with the goddess energy, with the feminine energy, but again, sparked from that like warrior princess energy, regardless of gender, you know, that energy. We all have masculine and feminine within us, but really hold space for your sense of connection with aspects of yourself, with even the disappointed aspects of yourself. Try to avoid going back to what you think could have been. That was an essence of just something that you had held on to and thought, you know, if it works out, that's what I'm going to have. That's what I'm going to get from this. But there's far more treasure, you know, in the attic. You just have to walk up to the attic and claim it. There's far more for you. You know, this was not your only chance. And again, if you're comparing yourself again to other aspects of the way in which you've done things in the past, then that's okay too. Either way, quit it. Don't worry. No more comparisons. You've absolutely got this. Really click into that energy of not even constructive criticism. You don't even need it. Just into this energy of pure magic, of accepting exactly where you are and just coming out with this renewed kind of maybe even wobbly steps until you move forward. That's okay. Knowing that you're absolutely fine. You have lots of energy around you, got a lot of support around you. We promise you that your dreams are becoming a reality, and we did turn this the right way up because it deserves to be up there. The only thing that's stopping you heading in the direction to claim all of this was you. That's why we turned it around. But everything that's come and culminated to this point is bringing you to this direction. And everything that you've been working for means that when you attract what you want, you have the pure foundation in order to really love it. You know, you hear about all these people that win millions of dollars and stuff like that in the lottery, and then, you know, their lives are infinitely worse because they've got no real foundation that they've worked on, and, you know, and then they're in debt afterwards, or, you know, they bugger up the money or whatever it is that they're doing. When you get all this beautiful stuff that's coming in, everything that you want absolutely can come to you at any time. Then you've built this beautiful foundation for you to sit back and really enjoy it instead of been looking over your shoulder going, oh, how long is this going to last? And this is the important thing, to enjoy every aspect of your life. And this is really the most important thing. And you've been working on that. Have faith, try again, get out there. You've got this without a shadow of a doubt. So this is your reading, pile 3. Go be you. We're sending so much love and divine beauty to you right now. We want to thank your guides for coming in. Thank you so much for joining me after a year. It's been a true pleasure reading for you. Do not forget to check out Unmasking Darkness, especially the Patreon section. We got so much for you if paranormal is your thing. Until we meet again, go be you. Take care. Bye-bye.